It's not that long ago that we were presented with a whole new range of shiny and fancy TVs. Samsung, being the largest and biggest selling of them all, didn't disappoint, providing some real eye candy in the 8K arena for sure. But for us mere mortals whose budgets really only allow for 4K crumbs, Samsung provided a nice array of upgrades and advances in all ranges. One of the most competitive markets is the mid-range market, where those of us that take movies seriously but our budgets are more, well, have more pressing demands, have given us some nice things to chew on. For instance, the Q80T from Samsung here is a fabulously well-spec'd TV with some real detailed information now being provided by Samsung. Now the main takeaway from the Q80T, and where Samsung wants you to focus the most, and in all respects is where you would pretty much notice the main bang for your buck, is on the control of the LED backlight and the local dimming, along with Samsung's new quantum processor 4K with AI. Don't they just love those names? Now, in Samsung's own words, and I quote, controlled backlight or controlled background lights offer deeper contrast for even richer black and lighter white. Now, full array local dimming, or FULD as it is known, combined with Samsung's quantum dot filter, provides a full 100% coverage at DCI-P3 color volume, which is pretty impressive. I doubt that it's completely 100%, because no panel really, unless it's super high end, is going to have that sort of huge color accuracy across the whole panel spectrum or the whole panel array. But we will wait to see. But it's pretty impressive that they're saying it's 100%. If you could then combine that with a refresh rate of 100 to 120 hertz, it's pretty impressive already from what we're seeing from this TV. The full array local dimming, which isn't easy for me to say, FOLD, has just 48 zones. Previously, in higher end sets, we've seen 96 zones, so it remains to be seen how big a difference losing half of those zones. It's quite a big difference from 96 to 48. It's half, so we'll see how that really does affect. Now, in terms of HDR, we have, of course, HDR10 Plus, which now supports HLG. But that's it. It comes really as no surprise that Samsung are not supporting Dolby Vision here. The new quantum processor 4K with AI is much like the baby brother of the you could see it as the baby brother of the processor found in the 8K sets. Now with those, we saw the processor turn everything into 8K regardless of the source. This time we're seeing the same thing, but we're seeing it turn the processor turn everything into 4K regardless of source again. Now this is a huge boon over previous sets. Unless you had a decent AVR setup that could process everything through it and then upscale it to 4K, you're pretty much left stuck with whatever your TV could output, whether it could upscale it or not. Further still, many now rely on their TV's internal DAB for terrestrial over-the-air TV. It makes sense then to have the TV upscale any content up to 4K. Many use plug-in sticks such as the Roku or the Amazon TV sticks directly attached to their TVs. So the Q80T will simply upscale everything to 4K, which I think is really cool, as not everything, in fact not that much these days, is really in 4K. Certainly on most streaming services still, sadly. Having seen what Samsung's processor for the 8K sets can do, it's really impressive really what that AI technology can do, and it would be easy to then assume that the quality of the 4K upscale would be equally impressive. Now for gamers, Samsung have a setting called Real Game Enhancer Plus, which I've briefly sort of talked about game mode on TVs. Basically they turn off loads of settings and slightly reduces the quality of the panel to basically speed up latency. Now this time we have ALLM, auto low latency mode, and VRR, variable rate refresh, and AMD's FreeSync. Input lag, according to Samsung, should be less than 7 milliseconds, which is really pretty quick. When you consider that on my KS 8000 behind me here, I'm getting around about 15 milliseconds, sometimes a lot more than that in terms of it getting slower. So, you know, it's quite a big leap. Now, the design of the TVs has come a long way since panels have become thinner. Samsung and LG, I feel, have always led the way here. Samsung do like their marketing speak, so they're using boundless design when talking about the bezel of the panel. It's small, it's neat, but obviously not quite as small as we've seen on Samsung's super impressive 8K panels. But then these TVs are not quite as expensive, of course, or indeed have the super high-end panel tech that those 8K big guns do. Now, with regards to connections, unfortunately, this is where I feel Samsung have made the Q80T a bit wanting. Personally, I really would have expected in the mid and high end sets the adoption of HDMI 2.1, certainly in 2010 to 2020. We are seeing this more and more with new AVRs and not just the high-end models using HDMI 2.1. Unfortunately, the Samsung for their mid-range sets are still only using HDMI 2.0, which unfortunately too, there is only 4 inputs. Now, call me greedy, but 4 inputs isn't great. Especially in this day and age, it's a little mean. Another misstep by Samsung, and something I found rather odd, is that there is no one connect box. You know, the sort of the breakout box where you could hide it and then plug everything in, and then you just have one sort of cable going to the TV. This should, of course, lower the price a bit, but I do feel that, you know, we come to expect these sorts of things, certainly for mid-range and upper-range sets especially, but certainly more now for sort of the mid-range sets that we're starting to see come through. 4 HDMI 2.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, no USB 3 at all. There's Ethernet LAN and digital optical audio out. Now, more interesting, on the sound front, there is something to get excited about, with the set featuring a 2.2.2 speaker setup and a total output of 60 watts with their object tracking sound technology. Now, object tracking sound technology uses technology that analyzes the image stream for sort of moving objects, and actively using the internal speakers and the sub places the sound where that image is. So, for example, say a jet in Top Gun moving up and to the left, you would actually hear that sound on the TV move up and to the left. So basically the sound output is in complete alignment with that moving image. Q Symphony and active voice amplification are also interesting technologies. Q Symphony is an interesting one, really, and it's only active when it's combined with a compatible soundbar, such as the HW Q60T or the HW Q70T or the HW Q800T. When connected, the TV's internal speaker will then work in tandem with the soundbar to provide a more immersive experience. Now, the active voice amplification actively measures the ambient sound in the room and then adjusts the TV sound accordingly. So, for instance, if someone starts vacuuming in an adjacent room, your experience will not be marred too much by them being less considerate of you watching Top Gun, for instance. The OS is Samsung's Tizen, which works with Samsung's One Remote, which has improved impressively over the years. The TV can also be controlled by Bixby on Samsung phones, as well as Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa. One cool feature we've seen previously, but it's no less impressive, is the Ambient Mode Plus, where the TV will match the wall the TV is mounted on, now providing a sort of seamless view, so it looks just the same as the wall it's being hung on. Perhaps not the most environmentally friendly thing to use, but still, you know, it's pretty cool. The TV also uses the multi-view ability of showing two sets of content or two sources of content on the screen at once. Now, for example, you could be watching a movie on your TV and say you want to show something on your phone. Now, you can then simply transmit what's on your phone to your TV screen, and your TV will then place each stream or image side by side, allowing you to continue to watch your movie, so you're not disturbing that or breaking the sort of flow of that. But you can also do that whilst watching videos of kittens, which we all do. We all do. Now for the price, well, we're still going to have to wait a bit on that, but mid-range sets are in the sort of the ballpark figure of around about £1,500, $1,500 plus. So we should see it around about there, depending on panel size, of course. So it remains to be seen. As soon as I get more information, of course, on the prices and in relation to the other Samsung sets, and of course those from LG and Panasonic and whoever else, I will let you know as soon as I get that. For now, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, as that really helps this video and of course my channel. If you've not subscribed and would like to receive almost daily videos on leaks, peaks, how-tos, guides on tech, TV, console and PCs, then please consider subscribing. And if you do, don't forget to click that bell to be alerted of my next video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.